Weekday mornings from 9.
Yes, good morning. Just a week to go, and then it's the big day. We're going to start, though, with whether there's anything wrong with men-only clubs. Now, this week, the first woman bishop was appointed to what was formerly a male-exclusive club. St Andrews, the home of golf, now allows women members. In life, there are now many examples where women have finally got equal rights. However, according to one listener in Great Ayton, male dinosaurs are alive and kicking. Women are not allowed to enter, let alone join the Conservative club there. So is it time for them to open things up and let women in? The listener goes on to say, David Cameron is urging me by email to join the Conservative Party, but I'm not allowed to even enter my local Conservative club. She goes on to say, this is not a political issue, this is an equal rights issue. I know private clubs can decide their own rules of entry, but surely it's time for them to open up their membership. Now, we must make it absolutely clear that no laws have been broken here at all. So what do you think?
Well, nobody likes to be excluded from anything. And I'm just surprised that that still happens.
Most of the people that go in during the day play snooker and this and the other, which women don't usually do.
I mean, I think there is a place for men to have their own space, but on the same score, women need some space too.
Well, we did contact Great Ayton Conservative Club. They didn't want to give an interview, but they did confirm that the club is men only allowing male guests and members, but women are allowed to work there. There are specific social occasions where women can attend the club if they are accompanied. So what do you make of that then? Is there anything wrong with that? 01642 225511. Simon Cattrall is partner at Jackson's Solicitors, specialising in licensing and clubs. Morning to you, Simon. Happy Christmas to you.
Yeah, you too, Mike. Happy Christmas.
Can they do this?
Well, yes, they can. It's their club. It's their rules. The starting point is the Equality Act of 2010, which makes it against the law to discriminate against anybody because of their age, their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, or even their gender. And these are known as protected characteristics. And they apply to everybody at work, in education, when using public services, buying and renting property, and they apply to most clubs. But there are exceptions, and the Great Ayton Conservative Club is one of them. And an exception is where you've got an association of 25 or more members, which has a genuine selection process and rules to control who's allowed to join. So it's their club. I think it's... Well, I know, but it's flourishing very well. It's got hundreds of members, and has been in existence for over 110 years. So I suppose it's hardly a dinosaur, but a part of what same-sex clubs should be seen for what they are, a healthy part of modern Britain.
So would the rules be exactly the same then for a working men's club?
Well, no, it depends. If there's no general... It depends. The sort of threshold is whether or not there's a genuine selection process. So, say, for example, a video club or a gymnasium, a sports gymnasium, where anyone can join, and usually the only currency is they pay some money in an ongoing, monthly payment. Those clubs are not protected, and they cannot discriminate. They've got to let anybody in. But if it's a private members club with a genuine selection process, such as we have here, it's their club and it's their rules.
Yeah, even it's interesting, isn't it? Women are allowed to work there, but they're not even allowed to enter unless it's a specific social occasion where women can go in.
Well, I think that's right, but the other side of the coin is there's a growing number of lady-only clubs, particularly down in London, where girls have their own space and they don't let men in there unless, obviously, they're to work there as well. It shouldn't be a problem. It really shouldn't. Single-sex clubs of all types should really be seen for what they are. They're a healthy part of modern Britain.
But it doesn't feel right, does it?
Well, who says that?
Who says that?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't feel right to me.
What, to you? Well,
yeah.
But same-sex clubs. Well, it's good for guys, is it not? I mean, this isn't legal view, it's just my own view. It's good for guys to have a bolt hole every now and then where they can go, and same for the girls as well,
Yeah, I can think of nothing worse than single-sex company. I've always sort of felt that way, really, Simon.
Yeah, okay. But if it's what did the fella say on the interview there? They play snooker and that kind of thing, and they shouldn't. People really shouldn't have a problem with it. If these clubs did not flourish, they would not survive. It's as simple as that.
All right, Simon, thank you for that advice.
Yep, pleasure as always, Mike.
Appreciate that. Simon Cattrall from Jackson's. So I've never been able to understand why men, or women for that matter, want a bolt hole to go to. So they can play snooker, they can drink, they can do whatever they want, but only in single-sex company. Is there anything wrong with men-only clubs? I've also spoken to men, if we sort of broaden this out. If you like to go swimming, for example, you might like to go swimming at a particular time on a particular day, only to find that there are women-only sessions at the pool at that particular time. And if you're a bloke, that could be inconvenient for you. But we're told that that is a good idea because women can sometimes feel awkward swimming in mixed gender sessions. 01642 225511.
BBC Tees.
So we're talking about whether there's anything wrong with men-only clubs, women-only clubs for that matter, because a listener has contacted us about the Conservative Club at Great Ayton. They're described there as male dinosaurs. Women are not allowed to enter, let alone join the Conservative Club at Great Ayton. We should make it absolutely clear again that no laws have been broken here. Our reporter Amy Lee has been to Great Ayton to see what people there think of the men-only policy at the local Conservative Club.
If it's a Conservative club, I would have thought they would welcome ladies, because it sounds as though they don't value ladies' opinions. And we have as much right to say in what happens.
Well, some of the men that I've met in Great Ayton have said that they do men things that women don't like snooker and football.
Well, then they don't need to join in, do they?
Do you think we're missing out? Are we missing out on something here, or...?
Well, nobody likes to be excluded from anything. And I'm just surprised that still happens. I started off, I worked in a man's world. I was a chartered accountant in the days when I think there were 3 girls only in the student society. That was back in the 50s. But I've never had a problem. You know that you just got to do it better than they do. We lived in Worcester for over 30 years, and there was a local club that wouldn't have ladies in certain parts of their clubhouse.
How did that make you feel?
Well, we just laughed about it, In fact, the ladies, I think there was one lady was walking past the men-only room, and she heard some bad language, so she complained to the secretary. So they just stopped ladies walking along the terrace that was closed. And we just thought that was hilarious,
First thought was that I was offended by it.
Do you think is it a bit sort of outdated? Like, well, what are you doing in there that we can't be a part of?
We're past that now, aren't we?
What do you think? Is there a problem? They have women-only gyms. We get that thrown back quite a lot. I mean, it doesn't matter.
In one respect, I don't think it matters. I think, in a way, it's nice for them to have their own space and their own time. And, I mean, you've got your Masonic sort of organisations which, again, don't involve women particularly. So I think there is a place for men to have their own space. But on the same score, women need some space too.
Would you want to join the Conservative Club if you could?
Not particularly, no.
Do you want to join?
I wouldn't either.
The one here is really not geared up for women at all.
Why not?
Most of the people that go in during the day play snooker and this, that and the other, which women don't usually do.
I mean, some clubs have women in the lounge or whatever, but in the bar-wise, no. That's what I've been told, yeah.
Yeah, and do you agree with that? Do you think, we need our own space? Yeah. Why do you need to have your own space?
Men's bars are men's bars, in my opinion, yeah. Women don't, like football, they don't like football, women don't like football.
So do men and women need their own space? 01642 22 5511. So a listener has been in contact with us about the Conservative Club at Great Ayton. Women are not allowed to enter, let alone join the Conservative Club. Now, they're doing nothing wrong. No rules are being broken here. But the person that got in contact with us, who wants to remain anonymous, says male dinosaurs are alive and kicking in Great Ayton. Let's talk to Roweena Russell, organiser of the North East Feminist Gathering. Roweena, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm well. So what do you make of this Conservative Club then? Are you surprised that they have this rule?
No, I'm not surprised, because actually they've got the same the same applies in government for them, really. It is basically a male-only club, and they roll out their occasional female MP, and we know how women are treated in politics. It doesn't surprise me at all that there's this male-only club that exists.
And is it fair enough that men and women can have their own space?
Yeah, well, I mean, I work a lot to protect women-only spaces because it's important that women and girls have space to consciousness raise and explore difficult things, and also figure out how we can respond to the epidemic of violence that exists right around the world, not just in our region, but around the world. So it's important that women have a space that's safe for them to work together, to become active, and that is safe.
So you're quite happy then for the Conservative Club to continue in this way?
Well, I wonder what it is that the Conservative Club feel they need to have this space to exclude 52% of the population. I wonder what it is that they feel they need to talk about. But, I mean, we could spend all day here arguing about the rights and wrongs of men having space. Men have a lot of space that they don't even need to name as male-only space. There are spaces that women exclude themselves from because they don't feel safe. That includes public streets at night.
But they say that they quite simply, want to play snooker, and have their own time with male company. That's all they want to do.
Great. Are women so threatening that they can't play snooker? To be honest, I find it a really tricky one, because when women organise women-only spaces, we are constantly challenged about why we need that space. Actually,
are you? Give me an example then of when you're challenged, when women come together on their own.
Oh, every time women come together on our own, we are challenged. I organise a women-only space at Pride. I was challenged about that. When we organise women-only conferences to talk about, it's not to sit and play snooker, it's to talk about how we can respond to the epidemic of male violence to women who are murdered in this country.
So what do people say to you then when you come together as a group of women?
Oh, they say we're being sexist. So we should allow men into a space where we're talking about domestic abuse and sexual violence, where women really need a safe space to talk about those issues, but we're sexist if we do that, and we're excluding men.
But I suppose the Conservative Club is different, isn't it? Because in that situation, you're wanting women to have the freedom to speak out about something quite sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, we campaign to have women-only spaces because we need to protect services that save the lives of women, like refugees, rape crisis centres. We need to protect those spaces, and we're challenged about it. And now the Conservative Club want to protect the right to be able to play snooker together. Well, play snooker together. But okay. I would assume that the Conservative Club would be very supportive of other spaces for minority groups to gather to become active.
Roweena, stay on the line. I want to introduce you to Mike Buchanan, leader of the political party Justice for Men and Boys and the Women Who Love Them. Mike, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Mike.
Your reaction then to the Conservative Club in Great Ayton and their policy?
I think there's absolutely no problem here at all. It's a private members club, and as your solicitor said, the members make the rules. I think it's perfectly natural and healthy for men and women to wish to be in social environments with their own gender from time to time. And the point is that while men don't try to deny women the opportunity, women try to deny it to men. And when I say women, Mike, I mean, of course, usually feminists like Roweena. Now, why do they do this?
Hang on. What has Roweena said then so far that has offended you?
Well, she's been fairly contemptuous of the idea of a men-only club. And she comes up with this nonsense about domestic violence when the reality is that men suffer from domestic violence at the hand of female partners at least as much as the opposite. Hundreds of studies say that.
Well, Roweena, come back on that.
Okay, well, first of all, that's interesting that Mike thinks that men suffer as much as women. It's like he's not arguing with me here, he's arguing with the Crown Prosecution Service, the police, national crime data. 2 women a week die as a result of domestic violence. And if he's trying to argue that, it's like, that's really interesting. Can I ask Mike what he's doing to make sure that female to male transgenders are included in men-only space? Because it's quite important that if he's thinking that these spaces are important and should be open to everybody, well then, even if it's a private club, they do need to consider how they're going to make sure that it is an open space. So can I just ask what specifically he's doing to make sure that female to male transgender people are included in his organisation and these male-only spaces, because it's important that if they exist, they're open to all men.
Right. Before I come on to that, Roweena, I'd like you to retract a lie you just stated, namely that 2 women a week are killed by partners or ex-partners. The number is now below 1.5. It's declined by 25% in 10 years. And we awarded Laura Bates of the Everyday Sexism Project our Lying Feminist of the Month award on the basis of coming out with that lie. So would you like to retract yours?
Would I like to say that it's a lie? I think you need to talk to the Crown Prosecution Service and National Data, Mike.
Listen,
you're arguing with National Data.
You are talking out of your hat. I mean, if you look on our website, j4mb.org.uk, we have huge amounts of statistics.
But look, we need to get back to the original debate, don't we, on this, about whether there is anything wrong with men and women having their own space. And I have to say, looking at what's coming from our listeners so far, Mike, most people agree with Roweena.
Well, I mean, does that bother me? I don't think so. At the end of the day, men and women should be able to have same-sex places. We're surrounded by female-only organisations. We have the guides barring boys from joining, the Scouts, while the Scouts allow girls to join. The Women's Institute bars men. There are many women-only clubs and societies. Why are they not worthy of discussion on your programme?
Well, they are, and we do discuss them. But on this occasion,
yes, but this is prompted by a conservative club, which has a policy on men and women. I've never in my life come across a BBC programme, or in fact any other radio programme that concentrates on a club that bars men.
Why do you think Why do you think women might need women-only clubs?
It's not a question of need. It's a question of if they want them, they should have them. I have no problem whatsoever with.
Sure. And can you answer my question about what you do to make sure you're including female to male transgenders in your organisation and clubs? What kind of policy do you have around that?
We don't have any policies on female to male transsexuals, Roweena.
No, but what do you actively do to make sure that they can be included in your work?
I don't actually do anything. We actually campaign in 20 areas where the state disadvantages men and boys, and mainly to advantage women and girls.
Well, with respect, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave that particular aspect of the debate right there. Thank you, Roweena Russell, organiser of the North East Feminist Gathering, and thank you to Mike Buchanan as well, leader of the political party Justice for Men and Boys and the Women Who Love Them. We are talking primarily about whether there's anything wrong with men-only clubs. The starting point for that discussion was the fact that a listener got in touch with us about the Conservative Club at Great Ayton, saying that male dinosaurs are alive and kicking in Great Ayton. Women are not allowed to enter, let alone join the Conservative Club there.
Across Teesside, County Durham and North Yorkshire.
Proud of where we live. BBC Tees.